Hello and welcome to Nursery Rhymes in Modern Times, where we explore traditional and contemporary nursery rhymes in a modern context. Today we're going to be talking about how the meaning of nursery rhymes can change over the centuries, especially as they migrate from one culture to another. We're going to be talking about the nursery rhyme of Baa Baa Black Sheep. If you're not familiar with that one, it goes like this. Baa Baa Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. 1 for my master and 1 for the dame. 1 for the little boy who lives down the lane. Baa Baa Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, 3 bags full. And if you were paying attention to the tune, that was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Funny how all those things kind of go together, right? So, Baa Baa Black Sheep came about in England. It's talking about taxation of the wool of sheep. So at the time, this wool was sold and also heavily taxed. So the people who were growing and cultivating the sheep whose wool was being shared or sold ended up getting very little of the money that came back from that. It ended up going to the metaphorical master and dame first, so those in power, before it came to the little boy who lived down the lane, which is metaphorical for that farmer. And also, it is a lot easier to dye wool that is a lighter color than a darker color, so the lighter colored wool was worth more money for that reason. Now, this was a long time ago. As it migrated across the world, and especially to the United States, where there is a history of slavery, then it kind of gets convoluted. So you have not only the color of the sheep, which could be likened to the skin color of the humans that are in the United States, but also the word master, which can then be differently construed into the master or the slave owner of the time. So as we're talking about this, the original intent of this nursery rhyme is not what ends up getting communicated in a contemporary context because of things that have happened since that nursery rhyme was initially created. So then there begs the question, is it okay to use it? Is it okay to use it if you change the words? For example, Baa Baa purple sheep, have you any wool? Yes, friend, 3 bags full. 1 for the elephant and 1 for the cat. 1 for the octopus and 1 for the bat. Baa Baa purple sheep, have you any wool? Yes, friend, 3 bags full. So that, by changing the words, does a couple of things. It removes the offending language. It keeps some of the same idea of the initial nursery rhyme in the idea that there is a sheep of a certain color who is sharing their wool with other people, or other creatures, I guess, in this case. So there are ways that you can change that. We've talked a little bit about changing the language in offending nursery rhymes before. Is that enough? Is that acceptable? Is it linked too much to the original version that then has different meaning because of what's happened in history? There are a lot of nuances into this conversation. So do you lose some of the tradition, some of the history if you change too much of the language? Do you give kids a different way to think about things if you change the language and you modify it in different ways? There are lots of fun ways to play with the language because really nursery rhymes are focusing on those early literacy concepts, especially today because we have a lot more literate society. It's not just relying on telling nursery rhymes in order to share history and culture because people can't read. That's no longer the situation. So really those nursery rhymes are focusing on the skills needed to build early literacy. So there's a lot to unpack with this. I would love to know your thoughts about what is okay, when to have the nursery rhyme possibly shift a little bit, when potentially to keep it in its original context but have a conversation about what else it does mean. And obviously this changes with the age of the children that you're working with. But then also, if we're having those conversations, children need to have some sort of a foundation in that song. If they've never heard it before and you're having this conversation, that doesn't land exactly the same way as if they're already familiar with it. So I don't know that there's a right answer here. I would love to know your thoughts. please feel free to share them in the comments below or message me directly. And remember to like, subscribe, and share to have this conversation shared with others who are also working with nursery rhymes and with little kids on a daily basis. Thank you so much for joining me. I know some of these conversations can get weighty a little bit, but I appreciate you sticking with me and having those harder conversations alongside me. Thanks again so much, and I'll see you next time.